Hello, BookTube. Believe it or not, I have some mail for you today, even though it's a Sunday and there's no mail here at Hyde Cottage. It's an absolutely gorgeous day. The hurricane that I predicted was coming for a visit to sit right here on the fainting couch did not. It bypassed Boston. We were brushed with a tiny amount of rain, but it swept out, or the storm system coming in from the north and west swept out all of the humidity that had been plaguing us for 10 days. So the air is crystal clear and beautiful. The mornings are now cool. It almost feels like before that storm it was still lingering summer, and now it's autumn. Just lovely. And because it's the weekend, I've described on this channel ad nauseum that the delivery person for mail is different on the weekends than on the weekdays. They have a different schedule. They do things differently. I tend to get mail deliveries on Saturday well after dark, well into the night, 8:30, 9 at night. So this is another case of that where when I got Frida out of bed first thing this morning, there was mail. My surly houseboy had collected mail that showed up and was probably sitting on the front porch overnight. So we have a bunch of stuff to go through here. I thought, I think I know what both of these things are. I think that they are observances of rules number 1 and 2 on this channel. Rule number 1 on this channel is don't send me books. Don't do it. Don't send me books blind. Don't go to a library book sale or a used bookstore and think, hey, this seems like something Steve would like and send it to me. No, no, no. You can send me a book maybe if you consult with me first. You looking at something and saying, I bet Steve would like this, is going to go wrong. There are only 2 people alive on Earth anymore who can make that guess with anything like a chance of succeeding. And you aren't one of them because they don't watch this channel. No, instead, if you want to get me a book, there are 2 ways to do it. One is to consult with me ahead of time. That grates against a lot of you because you want it to be a surprise. But nevertheless, if you consult with me ahead of time, I will know whether or not I want the book, whether or not I already have the book, whether or not it's worth your bother to go through. And the other way to get me books that actually pays off a lot more for you and everybody else is to call in store credit at the Brattle Bookshop here in Boston. Because I go there all the time, and I'm sure to find things there, and you are sure to get a video out of it. That's another way to do that, is just to call the Brattle Bookshop. Make sure it's the Brattle Bookshop and not the Brattle Theater. Call the Brattle Bookshop and just say, whoever picks up the phone, I want to give Steve some store credit. They probably won't need to identify the Steve. They'll probably know who you're talking about. And then just do that, and it'll be waiting for me the next time I go in. That's rule number 1. Don't send me a book blind. And rule number 2 is do send me your old tech. If you have tech that's just sitting around and you don't use it, then brush it up, power it up, make sure it works, clean it up, in other words, factory reset it, and then send it to me. I will play around with it a lot. I will use it a lot. And if it's the perfect fit, I'll use it catastrophically. I will use it into the ground, which is the way these things want to be used. They don't want to be sitting there. If you're using an animistic view of the world, they don't want to be sitting there. They want to be used. They want to be loved. And I'm a tech fan anyway. I'm the lowest tech fan imaginable. I find it all fascinating, even though I don't understand much of it. Those are 2 rules. I think these packages observe those rules, if I'm guessing correctly. There's also another rule. I don't know where it fits on the hierarchy, which is that Steve is always right. Maybe that's a rule that floats above all the others. I don't know. But we've got stuff to go through here, including I want to show you a package that arrived yesterday. One of you very kindly sent me something from Amazon that at first looked like it was the solution of my dreams when it comes to recent audio problems that I've had on my videos. One of you sent me this. Look at this thing. It's a USB-C microphone. It plugs into the side of the laptop. So it's right there. It's not. There's no wires. There's nothing like that. This is exactly what I described. This amplifies, or should amplify, the sound of my voice and lay it directly onto the video that is being recorded on my laptop. And the other 2 videos that I've made today on this channel were used with this plugged in. To my ear, it doesn't make any difference at all. It doesn't amplify anything. I went into the sound settings of the laptop. Here's a sound I'd like to abolish. There's no way to do that, even early on a Sunday morning. I went into the sound settings on the MacBook, made sure that it recognized this thing, switched it to this thing so that this is the audio input, and then increased that input as much as possible, as high as this would go. Didn't seem like it went any higher than the built-in speakers for the MacBook. I used this device for the other 2 videos I've made so far this morning. And to my ear, which, keep in mind, Mass General rates a whole lot higher than your ear in terms of acuity, I could not detect any difference. Maybe it's something that I wouldn't detect. Maybe it's something you would detect only at your end. Definitely let me know. Should I have this thing plugged in or not? I unplugged it for this video because I honestly don't think it's making a difference, despite the good intentions of the person who sent it. And even those good intentions, even though this might be a failure, it still lights the way. Because what about something like this, a USB-C thing that just plugs right into the USB-C drive? What about something like this, only 3 times as big, so that it sticks out a few inches, but 3 times as powerful? Surely if this exists, that exists. And that might solve my problem. That would be perfectly fine. If the technology does, in fact, exist to do this, surely they make a stronger version of this. That would work, if so. But let's go on to the packages. There are 2 packages here, 2 big boxes. So we'll do the first one up top here. What have we got? Got all sorts of packing material. Don't have to worry about disturbing the bean because she's over on her bean bag. It's her bean bag now. It's not my Surly House Boys. Oh, oh my goodness gracious! Mega stuff Oreos. Oh, very nice. Let's put those over here so they don't get crushed. Then what have we got? What else is in here? Okay, tech. All right. The little note here says that this is the 9th generation Kindle Fire. So nice and slim, fits in the hand. I've got the power jack here, but I've got plenty of these, so even if I didn't have one, I would still be able to do it. This has a pop socket on the back. I have almost no pop sockets on any of my devices, even though they seem like a dream come true. So this is a Kindle Fire. This is their version of the iPad. I have a couple of these. I don't have anything this slim. This is really slim and light. The 9th generation. The 9th generation is probably the latest one that I have. And of course, when it comes to Kindle Fires, a little bit of activity is necessary first. Look at that. See? Look at that. How nice. Because I need to get around the Amazon operating system on this thing, at least a little. I don't need to root it. Once upon a time, you had to root this thing. Now the means is a lot easier. What I need to do is trick the device into allowing me to install the Google Play Store, which is not hard to do. It really isn't. It's 4 steps. The steps are a little bit tricky the first few times you do them, but once you learn the way of the sites that allow it to be possible, then it's not all that hard. You have to set up the basic framework, then the basic outline, then the system, and then you have to just install Google Play. And it has to be done in the right order. Needs a little bit of patience. It has to be done for the right machine, so you have to go into the settings of the machine, find out what machine you're using. But then it will work. And once that happens, I can go in here, erase all of the Amazon bloatware, and use Google Play to install all the real apps. YouTube, the Barnes & Noble Nook app for reading. The Kindle is already on here. Instagram, Google Docs, Google Play, Google Chrome, all that sort of stuff. This, with just the Amazon apps on it, is of precious little use to me. But it's easy to fix. It's easy, comparatively easy to do that. Certainly easier than it was in days past, when you could still do that with the earliest Kindles or whatever, and make this essentially an Android tablet. That's what this is. Amazon commissions, lot loads of simple Android tablets and then puts their own operating skin on top of it. And once upon a time, in order to make any use out of it at all, you had to remove that skin. You don't anymore. You just have to trick it into installing the access. The Google Play Store is a real app store. It's not the Amazon App Store. So it has lots of stuff on it that you would want. You just have to trick it into installing that, and then you're fine. Then you're good to go. So I will do that. That'll be the first thing I do with this is reconfigure it. But then what else is in? Oh, yes. Okay. This is absolutely amazing. The person sent me pictures of this, and I simply could not believe what my eyes were seeing. I could not. This is an absolute find, and this is why. This is what makes BookTube so special, is that we're all out there watching out for each other for things that I don't care about this at all, but I know you do. And I've found this in my neck of the woods, and you haven't found it in yours. This is very nice. If you're watching, thank you very much for doing this. I've mentioned a couple of times before that Iris Murdoch is an author I want to do a systematic reread of her. I don't really want to systematically reread any of her philosophy, but I want to reread her fiction. She industriously wrote big, ambitious, intelligent novels for the whole of her life, the whole of her aware life. And they've never done anything for me. I used to read them as they were coming out and think, I don't know what this is. Half of it seems like empty word games. There doesn't seem to be any drama here. This seems like a novel written by a mathematic equation. Not by a mathematician, but by a mathematic equation itself. The closest that I came to liking something was The Sea, which I think is widely regarded among her fiction as her masterpiece. But even there, it seemed the word is inert. That word kept coming to mind when I would read her. But I routinely do systematic rereads of authors if I think I'm misjudging them. I don't like codified fixed opinions unless I've given an author a million chances and studied them in great detail so that I know there's no there. If I haven't done that, well, then I like to try. I like to create a very slow-moving carousel of such authors. And I want Iris Murdoch to be one of them, but I decided that the way I wanted to do it was to find all of the old orange-spined Penguin trade paperbacks of Iris Murdoch. They came out with all of her stuff in a relatively uniform format. And I thought, I will wait until I have amassed them all, and then I will do a systematic reread. You saw, for instance, on this channel, The Book and the Brotherhood. You didn't see it in this kind of condition. This is in mint condition. But you saw, I found this last year, I think. But this person, the person who sent these, found everything. All of Iris Murdoch in these trade paperbacks in perfect condition. This is Metaphysics' Guide to Morals. This is the kind of thing I will not read. I will read this because it was a gift and because I guess I'm curious, but I'm not interested in this author's philosophy, nor am I interested in anyone else's philosophy. But all of the other orange-spined Penguin trade paperbacks are here. There's a fairly honorable defeat. Here we have the nice and the good. All of them in this set. Just incredible. We have Nuns and Soldiers, which I don't think I've ever read. We have The Good Apprentice, which I just found, but not in this kind of condition. This is beautiful. These are absolutely beautiful. Here we have Acastos, 2 Platonic dialogues. Probably give that a little bit of a backseat. We have A Word Child. I might not have ever read this either. Let's see here. The Unicorn. Look at that. Look at how beautiful these are. They still have the sheen on them. We have Bruno's Dream. And finally, The Philosopher's Pupil. Okay, so there are things missing here. The Sea is missing. And also, what was it? The Green Knight is missing. Do you have a list of her books? Yeah, The Green Knight. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, look at the list. The list is enormous. So I have about a third or maybe half of the list, but that's a whole lot closer to the whole of that than I was at the beginning. That is just amazing. We actually have a book haul, a Steve Pyramid, for a Sunday, and this is a princely gift. Just princely. Look at this. Just amazing. All of this Iris Murdoch, I am now ready for. I'm now that much closer to that is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. I think it's probably too late in the year for me to embark on a systematic reread now. Even if I wanted to, this is less than half of the books that are out in this format. But I think with a big thing like that, I think I would probably wait until the new year. But thank you so much, the person who sent this. I'm so much closer to that goal now than I was before. And then the next box here is going to have tech. It's been a very good 2 weeks for getting tech. One of you, for instance, sent me this thing. An Asus VivoBook, a 15-inch laptop in a kind of off green. I wonder if this still has power enough to show you. Will it turn on, or did it power down? It's got a metal keyboard that I absolutely love. I tried it. I've been trying it, and the metal is so much better to type on than the plastic. It has this big OLED screen. It's depowered now, but the big screen has very thin bezels, so it's a huge, beautiful screen. And the interesting thing about this, the fascinating New Worlds version of this thing, the VivoBook, which I automatically started calling the StevoBook, is that this is a Windows laptop, not an Apple. I am an Apple fanboy going back about 20 years. And Windows is completely alien to me. The one device that I've had that operated on a Windows system baffled me. Just baffled me. But that was a long time ago. That was 5 or 6 years ago. And ever since then, I've been curious to know if my technological knowledge has osmosed to the point where it wouldn't be quite so baffling. And it turned out that is true. Partially, I was helped by my veterinarian, believe it or not. I had Frida to the vet for a little ear infection about a month ago. And I noticed when I was there and being unbelievably condescended to, I don't know what it is with veterinarians. I don't know what it is. They are the most condescending professionals I have ever encountered anywhere, in any format, even art curators. I've never encountered anyone more condescending than a veterinarian. I have to go there because they have drugs that my dog needs. They don't have any knowledge that I don't already have. They have drugs. They can prescribe prednisone. They can give me antibiotics that I can't get on my own, that are stronger than the ones that I would get at over the counter at the store. That's it. That's all I need them for. And I never say that. I'm never as rude as they are. But in order to go, I have to be condescended to. Literally talking to like I was a little baby. Just unbelievable. To the point where this last time, a month ago, I actually wanted to say something. It was so exaggerated that I wanted to say something. I wanted to say, you seem perfectly nice, but if you don't stop talking to me that way, I'm going to walk out. Appointment or no appointment. Stop talking to me like I'm a child. I could take this dog apart and put it back together blindfolded. I know more about this dog's behavior, anatomy, evolution, nature than you do or ever will. I need you for the script you can write out, and that's all. I certainly do not need you telling me all the basics. This is a quadruped. I don't know why veterinarians are like that. Maybe yours is a little better. I have never, in the last 40 years, I have never encountered a veterinarian who wasn't condescension personified. A couple of times in the distant past, I have actually said something. With my beagles, I've actually said, could you kindly stop talking to me that way? I realize you talk to people all day this way, but could you stop talking to me like I don't know any idea what you're talking about and I'm a small child? And they seemed, the one time I said that, back in the 80s, they seemed genuinely shocked. I bet they just fall into a routine and just never get out of it anymore, and no one ever calls them on it. Anyway, when I was there, and I was trying to figure out ways to distract myself from how badly I was being condescended to, I noticed that they had a Windows computer. And I saw on the toolbar that they had Google Chrome. Well, I live on Google Chrome. I understand Google Chrome didn't exist with when the last Windows machine that I used was baffling me. Chrome didn't yet exist. Google's operating system. Now it does. And I was amazed to see that Google Chrome could be downloaded onto a Windows machine. I immediately asked a million questions and was very happy to see that the vet and the tech assistant shifted right out of being condescending. When they weren't talking about dogs, they weren't condescending at all. They told me, yeah, it's easy to do. You can install Chrome on a Windows machine. And I immediately thought about this thing. I thought, well, okay, one of the problems that I have with Windows devices is that they frustrate me. I can't get A, B, or C done. Basic things. And that bothers me to the point where I put them aside and just don't think about it. But I thought, okay, but if you can download Google Chrome, then you would have a base. You would have a rock-solid base that you do understand and that works perfectly. And then you could go from there to explore the device without ever feeling like you were being thwarted from doing even A, B, or C. And that has turned out to be true. So I've done a huge amount of exploring on this thing, a huge amount of acquainting myself with how Windows works. It turns out it's not all that mysterious. It's just another way of doing things, just another configuration. It's exactly like the Apple system in a lot of ways. It's constantly insisting that it's the only way when it's not. It's constantly insisting that you need X, Y, or Z function or toggle or doohickey when you don't. It's just insisting that because it wants you to buy completely into its system. I didn't realize that the first time because I guess I wasn't all that familiar with how these things work, but I'm learning a lot. So the person out there who sent me the Steve-O book, I'm very, very grateful. Also, I've never used a 15-inch MacBook. But I think there's tech in this next box. More tech. So let's see what we have here. More mixed up Oreos. Very nice. Oh, and we have an Iris Murdoch hardcover. Look at that. Jackson's Dilemma. How lovely. An Iris Murdoch hardcover. Wow. Okay. All right. So that goes with all of the other Iris Murdoch stuff. But then we have packing material. Again, I don't need to worry. Well, I don't need to worry about the bean anyway because she wouldn't attack. She doesn't attack stuff. She's just not that kind of a dog anymore. Okay, so we have a power. Yeah, we are going to have tech here. Let's look at the smaller thing first. Exemplary packing job. Let's look at the smaller thing first and see what we have here. So we have another power cord. Let's get that out of there. These things are largely useless though. But let's see what we have here. Okay, this is a Samsung Galaxy Tab A8. Let's get all this. We'll just put all this stuff on the floor. So once again, we have another tablet. Where did the fire go? See, these are all meant to be very comparable, very comparable. This one doesn't have a pop socket, but I bet that I could take that pop socket off and put it on this if I wanted to. Very nice thing, nice rounded edges there. So this is a Samsung Galaxy Tab. Let's see if there's any power here. Let's see what this looks like. I have one of these that is older, I believe. There we go. See that? There's a little Android creature there. Come to really appreciate the Android world. I'm still a Mac guy, but I love how when you're configuring something with an Android device, it's tripping over itself to ask you what more can I do? How much easier can I make this? Do you want me to port everything over all at once? No, I don't care. I recognize this thing enough, this extension, this app enough. I'm not gonna ask you for your mother's maiden name or a drop of your grandfather's blood or whatever. Sure, I'll connect you to everything. Anything else I can do? Whereas with an Apple thing, configuring an Apple thing, oh my God, it's impossible, almost impossible. I'm used to it by now, but Samsung, the Android stuff is just so much easier. It's just built to be so much easier. Okay, there we go. Very good. All right, so I will figure out. The slip said this has 32 gigs of onboard memory, but it has a slot for an SD card of something. Yeah, you can put a memory slot. You can put a card in there on the side to add to it. Fantastic. Okay, so this does not need... Okay, well, this is all factory reset, so you have to go in. I have to go into the settings, shut off all auditory notifications, shut off all notifications of any kind. I don't want this burping or beeping or anything. All sounds, all notifications for phone calls, emails, anything. I want that all gone. I want that all silent, and so should you. Otherwise, your machine will be dictating to you instead of you to your machine, and that's bad. But I will go into this thing, I will configure it all and load it with books, see how well it does with books. Fantastic. Okay, so that's another piece of tech, and then we have the piece de resistance here, which is another MacBook. This is an 11-inch MacBook Air. Are you an Air, my dear? Yes, you are. This is an 11-inch MacBook Air. I'll have to see what kind of a job. The sender said that all this stuff has been wiped and cleaned, but it's awful tricky sometimes to wipe a MacBook. I've had a lot of people think they did when they actually didn't. And sometimes that can be a problem because sometimes you can't go back past a certain point. Sometimes they're password protected. So we shall see. Oh, wow. Fantastic. This is by far my favorite device. Of all the tech devices that are out there,
contains a built-in screen reader called
see that?
VoiceOver.
That's got to be gone.
How to use VoiceOver,
you've got to get rid of that.
Command F5 now to turn it on and set up your Mac. If you
see that? You've just got to get rid of that. You've got to get rid of all that. Your machine should not be talking to you at any point for any reason at all. But I've discovered over time that, first of all, Macs I go way, way back with. I'm very comfortable on the Mac system. I don't know it really well. Boy, oh boy. You only have to sit on the same fainting couch with somebody like David Murphy who's in tech and watch him zip around on various screens and various operating systems to realize that you can work with Mac OS for 15 years and not know it. You only have to watch somebody who does know it to really know what that looks like. But still, I am very comfortable with Macs, and I'm also very, very comfortable with an 11-inch form factor. That is the closest thing to the form factor, if you want to use that horrible phrase, of a manual typewriter, of the manual typewriters that I cut my teeth on. So I have 13 inches. I have this 15-inch, but this is the size that I like the most. And this 13-inch MacBook Air, or 11-inch MacBook Air, is the last one they made before they switched to butterfly keys that are infinitely worse. Nobody likes them, including me. This is the last set of normal chiclet-style keys that they did until they started to back off of those butterfly keys just recently, comparatively recently, because no one liked them. They were getting universal negative reactions to them. So this is an absolutely fine device. Yes, it's 10 years old. But for me, it's an absolutely fine device, except for maybe recording. I don't know. I think the solution for recording on an older MacBook isn't going to lie with getting another old MacBook. I think it's going to lie with getting a microphone that actually works. This thing, I don't know that it makes a difference. You'll be able to tell me. The other two videos that I made, I used this with the gain driven up all the way. And believe, I know you're going to think, well, you think that you synced it to your MacBook, but you're probably not tech adept, so you probably didn't. But in this case, I knew that I was doing the right thing. I know how to do that. I found it in the settings, I recognized it, I switched over to it, and I amped up its volume as far as it would go. It didn't seem to go any farther up than the volume on the MacBook speakers themselves. But this gives me hope for the way forward. Because if this exists, then something 3 times this size exists. I really think that's the way to go. I don't think this is going to have any better speakers than anything else. It's just a question of variations of technology. The only thing that's surefire in this whole thing is Mega Stuff Oreos. That's the only thing that's really foolproof in this whole system. And I have 2 packages now. So there you go. That was the mail for a Sunday. Just this gigantic spasm of mail. I've got a pile of books and some new tech. I will reconfigure the Amazon Fire. That's always fun. And it'd be interesting to try something with a pop socket. I don't really know how that works. Then I will configure the Samsung so that this Galaxy Tab, so that it does everything that I want. I'll see how responsive it is and whatnot. What kind of charging is this? None of these are USB-C. None of them are. I think they're all these old. What's this other one? Is this also USB-C? No, these are all just these older things. I have a million cords like that. And then a MacBook that will need configuring. In order to get this to behave itself completely, I'll need about half an hour. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Plus just a plethora of stuff. So Steve is very pleased for this Sunday, where I'm going to make probably a couple more videos and a long walk with the bean and a lot of writing. Before I settle into reading late tonight, I have to do a lot of writing today. That's going to be a lot of fun in its own right. I'm not complaining at all, but I notice that it's a lot. You know, when I sit down to work, I look ahead to the day. All right, what is the shape of this day? There are huge blocks that cannot be infringed on. Those are Frida. But then there's the shape of the day. Well, you've got to talk to your imaginary friends on BookTube. You've got reading, you've got writing, you've got email, you've got editing. What are you going to do? What are the proportions of those things? And sometimes, depending on deadlines and pressures and whatnot, some of those things are bigger on some days than on others. And today is writing, a large amount of writing, I think. Perfectly happy to jump into it. But first, I'm going to wallow in all of this stuff, this Sunday stuff, when Sunday usually doesn't have any stuff. So anyway, that is your unexpected Sunday mail. Tons and tons of things to think about. So I'll wrap this up for now. Thank you very much to the sender. I will thank you in email as well. And I will be back soon. Thank you, BookTube.